Hello and welcome to Scrapping on the Fly. My name is Kristen and I am here with a double hop. It is July the 5th for Off the Board with Pineapple Papers, and it's Tuesday, so it is Stash Dive Tuesday. Off the Board is where you take a pin from your Pinterest and let it inspire you. And Stash Dive Tuesday is where you take all the random stash that's hanging around and try and get it used up, but only 2 of each collection. So it's just a way to get all those little odds and ends left over that have been on your desk. So the pen I used is this one by Debbie Brubaker, and it's a weave pattern, which is super cool. I usually shy away from them because I'm really bad about them, but this one's wonky, and I like wonky. So I have this paper pad that I got in a stash of stuff from like a Facebook purchase, handmade by Colorbook, I don't know how to say that. And I don't use it very often. It's super thin. So I've got that. I'm going to try and use some of that up. And then I have these other random things that have been just sitting around in my stash for many, many years. And I want to try and get some of that stuff used up. That sticker sheet came from a Facebook purchase. Those scraps don't get used, but they will be in the future. And then I have these 3 pink boxes. One of them is spring word phrases and little tags and such. One of them is spring chipboard and things like that. I'm working on my organization, you all. And then these are all florals. So they're not specific to spring per se. They are just all the different floral garden kind of thing. Well, not all. That's just the small ones. So I want to try and get some of those things used up today as well. So I'm going to bring in what I can from there. I have this one picture. There's actually 2, but I'm only going to end up using the one. This picture right here is the map from where we drove from Kentucky to Texas, from Texas to North Carolina, and then back to Kentucky in a matter of a week. But this picture is us sitting on the back porch of my cousin's house after the funeral for her mom. And so I've got my papers, my stickers and embellishments, this picture, and this pen. So let's see how this goes. So I pull this pink paper out, and this is almost like construction paper. I've got a really good deal on this huge pack of paper at Walmart. I was so excited, and I got home, and the texture of the paper is like construction paper. So I only use it for when I'm not doing anything with mixed media, really, because it will bleed right through. And I thought this was going to be a pretty light layout, because these papers right here from Colorbook are super thin. So right now I am pulling out all the papers that were scraps. So I don't use any that are not already cut from, like those little things that are missing out of that purple paper is how they gave it to me. So whoever I got this from had trimmed things out of it already. So I'm just using up whatever I have as scraps. And I am, since they are so thin, I mean, this is how thin they are, you all. I stack all, I think, 5 or 6 different papers together and trim them at the same time. So I'm not worried about them being perfect and precise, because this is going to be a wonky weave pattern. So I just trim, and I don't have to push down that hard either. It's super thin paper. There are 50 sheets in this itty bitty little book, and I don't do a lot of florals, and I say that a lot, you all. So, but I haven't used a lot from this paper pad, although I've got some ideas now. So anyway, I start with papers, and I don't have any that come like next to each other. When they do the weave, obviously you don't have choice, or I guess I could have done one direction, or a few of them one direction and a few the other, so they don't. But I'm not measuring. I'm not making sure they're perfectly straight. Nothing. This is the kind of thing I like to do. And I've got a little piece of double-sided tape on at this moment, the left side. And then I'm going to turn this, and I'm going to start weaving the pattern the other direction. So I have many times put my things down both directions and then we woven them after. That does not prove to be the best option for me. So one at a time seemed to work and do what I wanted it to, so I don't miss them. I mean, a lot of it gets covered up, but not, enough. So anyway, I go through and I weave the whole thing together, and I'm not going to make you watch me do all that because that would be a really long and boring, probably put you to sleep kind of layout. So altogether, this took me about an hour, but a lot of that was the weaving process. It took me about 15-20 minutes to do all that between the cutting and the weaving and the taping and all that kind of stuff. So, okay, I left way too much of this in here. Sorry, you all. If it doesn't cut soon, oh, here it comes. Okay, so I don't know why I left so much of that in there. Sorry. So I get done with the weaving, and I want to make sure I have a border all the way around of that pink paper. So I'm not going to make you watch me tape the ends of the paper. You're welcome. But I do take some scissors and I just trim. I don't want them to end at the same place. So I just kind of trim and go as far as I can with the tape and just alter. And then I'll turn it and do the other side, but I'll cut that part out because I held it up to do that. So I'm not even worried about these being like flat. I mean, some of them probably have a little bit of a curve to them or at least like an angle, but I'm perfectly fine with that. So there it is, all trimmed up and ready. And so now I'm going to get all those papers again, and that's what I'm going to map my picture on. And I layer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think 5 layers, maybe even 6 layers of paper. This thing is still, it has no weight to it. Seriously, super light. So I use some double-sided tape at first, and then I'm going to pull out my tape runner. And so I mat it on this purple first because it's a light enough picture. If it was a dark picture, I would have matted it first on a white. But since it's pretty light, because we're outside and everything, we're all sitting around. We had been, like I said, at my aunt's funeral, and my dad had meandered outside because he's not a big socialite. And so he was out there trying to have his solitude. And my sister, who also doesn't like to do all that socializing, went outside with him. And then slowly but surely, everybody kind of ended up out there. So most of us are, of my direct family, are sitting out here with him. And I'm sure he's thinking, I wish y'all would go back inside. So that's what this picture is, us kind of standing around. My grandmother is probably the one who took this picture. She was one who usually took most of our pictures, or my cousin. And so this is just us, like I said, sitting around. And I wanted to document this in a way. Right now I'm doing a series every Saturday about documenting the hard things. And this was definitely a hard time. She was killed by a drunk driver on her bike, and so it was very unexpected and pretty rough, and it was my dad's sister, so he did not handle any of that very well. 2018 was definitely a rough year in my family, so I've matted that, and then I've ended up fussy cutting that little floral out of the frame because I love it sitting up here at the top. They have a TV outside, and the corner of the TV was in the picture, so it was kind of like an eyesore. And so I just used this floral over the top of it and then cut the frame and tucked it in at the bottom. And then I have this little doily thing that I found when I was looking through my stuff that I've just started unpacking some things. And I cut a part of it off, and I thought, I'll put that on another layout. But then where I end up putting the round part of that frame in the bottom left corner, that little extra piece fit perfectly. And I could let you all think that I planned it that way. I did not. I definitely did not. It was I'll use this on another layout, stick it in this little bin next to me. And after I got this thing down, I was like, oh, this little pink thing's going to fit here perfectly. So it was not planned, but that's how I scrapbook. Scrapping on the fly is my channel name for a reason. So I'm just getting my my tape runner and getting the rest of that flower down. I had just kind of lightly stuck it on there because I wasn't sure how I was going to like it, and I love how it turned out. And I am loving this layout, you all the pinks and the purples and the florals, and there's going to be some butterflies. And I just really enjoy the way it turned out, and I am loving this off the board. And I am super thrilled with how my stash diving on Tuesdays is going, because I've been using up old stuff. And when I say old stuff, I mean like before 2000. And some of you all probably weren't even born when I had that stash. So I have these, talking about old stash, I have no clue how long I've had these. I mean, many, many years. And so I just tucked these little butterflies and that little floral in a couple of different places. And then I want to use this tag because this tag matches the little circular butterflies and has the same color. It's all from the same collection. No clue where it came from. That's how long I've had it. No clue. And I was going to try and use that tag, but there really wasn't anywhere for it. And I've already got that little journaling space over there with the butterfly. So, and then these, I really wanted to use these, but there's just nowhere for that either. I will find a way to use those up. So I'm now going to take my Nuvo Deluxe and then just stick these little butterflies in the flower down. But where I put that flower, there's like a little diamond or kind of like a triangular space between where the flower in the corner of the picture ends and that little tag. And so I'm trying to think of a way to cover that because it's kind of an awkward, odd space. So I take these purple flowers that came out of my little stash bin and I tuck those in because that purple is a very close purple to some of the other purples in this layout. And I pulled some yellow ones out and tried those out because they're pretty much the same yellow on the inside of that butterfly. But I don't like that at all. I think they stand out way too much and they are very pull your eye over there, and I don't want that to be the case. Like I love that big purpley flower in the top, and so I feel like that helps bring your eye to the picture. And if I put those bold yellow over there by the purple, I think that it's gonna pull away from that. So I put those back in my little bin, and since the big green butterfly that I started out with isn't gonna work because it did not work with this layout, the colors in it were totally different. So I went ahead and I used this one from Crafter Square. And then I have this other little puffy butterfly that I kind of stuck on here between the flower and that leaf. And it's got a white mat around the back of it. And then I pull out my Carpe Diem. And these are beautiful is what the title of these are. And the greens in this don't work with what I'm doing. But I pull a couple word phrases out that say happy thoughts, forever in my heart. I thought those were fitting. And then I pull this little arrow out and it says remember. And so I thought that that was pretty fitting as well. So I tucked that in up there. So I want to bring a little bit of black in somehow. And so I'm going to try and figure out a good way to do that. But first I need to find a title. So I find this little thing in my my Stickabilities, and it says a house filled with love. And the yellow in there is the yellow, like it's a goldy yellow, and it matches the goldy yellow in the outside of the butterflies that are in that tag right next to it, as well as the little butterfly on the bottom. And I start to put it down here and I'm like, okay, this helps cover some of that little triangular space, but there's still like a gap. So I pull out a set of thickers, and the thickers that I pull out are Miscellanea, and I get one of the black thicker chipboard hearts. And I'm just going to use some Nuvo Deluxe, and I'm going to put that down in that little space, and it's going to cover that little yellow flower a little bit, but not enough to be a problem. And then I put that a house filled with love on top of it, and I love the way that looks. It covers that space. It brings the black from that remember as well as the butterfly on the top over to that corner as well, so you get the triangle effect. And then I almost started showing you all my finished layout and realized I have a unfilled tag hole and unfilled flowers. So I used some Nuvo drops in plum pudding and made 3 little clusters in 3 different places. And then I pull out my Park Lane Gym enamel dots. I use a white one on the tag, a pink one on the top purple butterfly flower, and then I was going to put another darker pink on the other one, and then I found these yellow ones, and the yellow goes really well with like the butterfly yellow, the light yellow in the butterfly and in that floral. And so that's going to be it. Here is that pen again, like I said, from Debbie Brubaker. I love this. It's so fun. And because you don't have to be super cautious about the way you lay your weaving down and how thick your strips are, you could do this a whole lot quicker than I did. I was watching videos and him hawing around and that kind of thing. I get trapped watching Michael McIntyre comedy routines. So anyway, I hope that you all are following along with all the people who are doing Off the Board with Pineapple Papers, as well as every Tuesday we do Stash Dive Tuesday, and it is a great way to use up that stuff sitting around on your desk or in little bins and boxes, and that is what this stuff was. So yay, I'm so excited. So I hope you'll come back tomorrow for day number 6, and I would love it if you all would check out my Courageously Crafting, Scrapping Through the Hard Stuff, which is also on my channel. Have a great day and happy scrapping.